Inspections before a fire at this fast food factory killed more than 24 workers.
This is NBC Nightly News with Tom Brokaw, reporting tonight from NBC News headquarters in New York.
Good evening. It was a tragedy waiting to happen, the fire that killed 25 workers in a North Carolina plant yesterday. North Carolina has been particularly lax in inspecting and enforcing safety regulations in the workplace. It's not the only state, but the federal government was aware of North Carolina. And as NBC's Robert Hager reports tonight from Washington, nothing was done. Robert?
Tom, here at the U.S. Labor Department, an internal report drawn up this summer was critical of North Carolina's workplace inspection program. Said the state wasn't inspecting enough workplaces and wasn't uncovering enough serious violations. But nothing was done about that. Now it's too late for relatives and friends of the 25 victims who grieved today. And as investigators pored over the North Carolina plant, it was learned that no government agency had ever made a safety inspection of this 11-year-old facility. Not OSHA, the Federal Occupational Safety and Health Administration, not the North Carolina Department of Labor, not even the local fire department. In spite of the fact that the plant's owner, Imperial Foods, had already had one fire here 8 years ago and a big fire in another of its plants in Georgia 2 years ago. No inspector, for instance, had previously checked whether the company was violating strict safety laws against locking doors. Witnesses say that when Tuesday's fire broke out, this door was locked, so was this one, and this one was blocked by a truck backed up to the loading dock.
I could hear people down on the end hollering, beating on the door to get out, but they couldn't get out because the door was padlocked, all of them. Even the one in the canteen was padlocked. They couldn't get out.
But state officials aren't certain yet if that caused the deaths.
We haven't made a determination if any of the locked doors prevented escape.
North Carolina is one of 21 states currently permitted by OSHA to substitute its own state inspection program for OSHA's federal inspections. Part of that deal is that each state's program should measure up to federal standards. But North Carolina has only 27 inspectors to oversee 150,000 workplaces, way below federal standards. North Carolina's own Labor Department admitted today that with that size force, it could inspect a given plant just once every 75 years on average. Under the law, if a state doesn't live up to federal standards, OSHA's required to step in and take over that state's inspections. But in OSHA's 20-year history, that's never happened. Tom?
Thank you, Robert. A major medical story tonight, a new test that seems to indicate when a baby will be born prematurely. And that's important because premature birth too often leads to an early death. Our chief medical correspondent is NBC's Robert Bazell. Robert?
Tom, 9% of all the children born in the U.S. are preemies. That's 400,000 premature births every year. It's the main cause of infant mortality and an enormous public health problem. Deborah Cullen was born a week ago, premature, weighing only 2.5 pounds. Her mother, also named Deborah, went into labor suddenly and unexpectedly.
Plenty of prenatal care. I took care of myself. I ate the proper foods. There were no signs of warning whatsoever.
In the majority of premature deliveries, neither the mothers nor their doctors have any warning. A test developed by researchers at Mount Sinai Medical Center in New York could provide that warning.
It's simple to do. It involves swabbing the secretions in the vagina or the cervix and then doing a very simple assay to detect a protein that really shouldn't be there in healthy women, but seems to be present in women that are at risk for preterm delivery.
The first step toward a premature birth may occur when the amniotic sac surrounding the fetus prematurely tears away from the mother's uterus. That releases the protein picked up by the test. The protein was first discovered in women such as Judith Silver, who undergo contractions early in their pregnancies. About half of these women give birth prematurely. But the researchers believe they will eventually be able to identify women with no symptoms who are at risk for premature birth. That could lead to much better prevention efforts.
We could administer a number of therapies and administer it hopefully early enough to prevent their preterm delivery.
The outlook for little Deborah is good, even though she will remain in the hospital for many weeks. But 30,000 premature babies die in the U.S. each year. This latest research could be the crucial first step toward the goal of cutting down those terrible numbers of premature babies. Tom?
Thank you, Robert. When Nightly News continues in a moment, the drug war 2 years later, we're still losing, and the president knocks an ad designed to help his Supreme Court nominee. Tonight's Daily Difference, vital signs. Lead poisoning It just won't go away. Bob Kerr will tell you how your child may be at risk when Nightly News continues.
My dad had ulcers, so when my stomach started acting up, I was afraid to go to the doctor. But finally, I went. Was I relieved when my doctor said Mylanta? He said it was indigestion, not an ulcer, and my kind of indigestion called for strong medicine.
Mylanta is strong medicine, strongly recommended. In fact, Mylanta is the antacid doctors recommend most.
My doctor said Mylanta.
Now available in cherry and cool mint cream flavors.
I thought all no-stick cooking sprays were just like Pam. Boy, was I wrong.
Only Pam is all natural with no preservatives. Only Pam.
And Pam adds virtually no fat or calories. For healthier meals.
All natural Pam. A healthier way to cook.
They're coming. Dow Bathroom Cleaner with scrubbing bubbles. It's 50% stronger than original Dow Bathroom Cleaner. We work even harder, so you don't have to.
President Bush tonight is trying to distance himself from a commercial that, of all things, supports the nomination of Clarence Thomas to the Supreme Court. NBC's John Cochran is at the White House now with the latest on this controversy. John?
Well, you're right that the president is concerned, Tom. After all, once before, he was linked, fairly or unfairly, to a political ad that was widely regarded as sleazy, the infamous Willie Horton commercial.
This is what the fuss is all about, an ad plugging Supreme Court nominee Clarence Thomas, who is expected to win Senate confirmation. But the ad also attacks liberal senators.
Who will judge the judge? How many of these liberal Democrats could themselves pass ethical scrutiny? Ted Kennedy, suspended from Harvard for cheating, left the scene of the accident at Chappaquiddick where Mary Jo Kopechne died, and this year, Palm Beach.
The ad also jumps on Joe Biden for plagiarizing the speech of a British politician, and Alan Cranston for his links to the savings and loan scandal. The president's aides say that while he was vacationing last week, they heard about the ad and gave advance warning to two of the Democrats, but Senator Cranston's staff say he was not warned. The White House did nothing to try to stop the ad, but today the president did call it offensive.
That one was not a good ad.
Would you urge them to not run it?
Yeah, I'd urge them to not run it.
One of the creators of the Willie Horton ad in the '88 campaign also helped with the Clarence Thomas ad. But such hardball tactics have angered Thomas and moderate supporters like Senator John Danforth.
I think that the ad is disgusting. I think that it has no place at all in the American political process.
But conservatives who produced the controversial ad say Danforth and the White House are being too nice.
Their strategy is to play the positive game and try to make friends for Judge Thomas. And there's a certain wisdom for them doing that. But somebody has got to take on his enemies.
Brent Bozell says he will cancel the ad if the White House really is upset and if it telephones him and asks him to stop it. So far, Bozell has not picked up the phone to hear, "This is the White House calling." Tom?
John, speaking of the White House, can we be absolutely sure that there are no White House fingerprints on this ad in the first place?
I can only tell you the people I've talked to say that they really only knew about this. They knew it would be negative. Some senators would be attacked. They didn't really know the content. I think that if George Bush found out someone in the White House had given the okay to this or pushed it, I think he'd be out of a job.
Thank you very much, John Cochran. The person responsible would be out of a job, not the president. On the eve of the second anniversary of President Bush's drug war, there is some good news tonight. Casual drug use is down. However, supplies are up. It turns out that while America was winning the war in the Persian Gulf, it was losing the war on drugs. More on that now from NBC's Lisa Myers.
A year ago, Chicago didn't have open-air drug markets. Now it has 200 of them.
It's worse than it was a couple years ago. It's as bad now as it's ever been.
There's so much crack cocaine here that dealers literally gave it away for a while to create a market. And it's not just crack. There's also more heroin and more PCP. It's much the same story in Houston, Los Angeles, Boston, New York. Officials in each city report more cocaine on the streets today than a year ago, probably more than 2 years ago.
Well, cocaine is just coming in and in and in.
It began to get worse last winter.
Right after the Persian Gulf situation started to develop, we started to see the price drop and major loads come into the city.
Why? Federal drug agents believe one reason is that drug interdiction and monitoring by the U.S. military was significantly reduced during the Gulf War, as sophisticated radar planes which usually patrol drug routes were transferred to the Gulf. The Pentagon disagrees.
I'm not suggesting that there was absolutely no reduction in effectiveness. Any changes were marginal, in my opinion.
Today, the Bush administration said the apparent increase in cocaine on the streets is an illusion.
In some cities, just because there's been a decline in cocaine usage, you're likely to see a backup or what appears to be a glut of cocaine, simply because there are less people using and buying cocaine.
What's not an illusion is the worsening of the drug problem in small cities and towns like Purcellville, Virginia, as dealers seek new markets. Nor is there any relief in the spread of drug-related violence.
Drug dealers now will go after your family, your mother, your father, your 2-month-old baby, to deliver a message.
Drug agents often describe this war as one step forward, 2 steps back. Despite progress in some areas, the past year overall was a step back. Lisa Myers, NBC News, Washington.
A target in the drug war, Manuel Noriega is accused of allowing Colombia's drug lords to ship their cocaine and to launder their money through his country. Well, tomorrow, after almost 2 years after he was ousted as Panama's dictator, the jury selection is set to begin at his trial in Miami. NBC's Ed Rabel is there tonight.
Manuel Noriega was smiling last month when these pictures were taken, but now that all his co-defendants have plea bargained their way out, Noriega will face drug trafficking charges all by himself. Accused drug pilot Daniel Miranda, the latest to make a deal with the government, entered his guilty plea today. He might have spent years in jail if he'd been convicted for flying drug profits from Fort Lauderdale to Panama. Then he might have been deported. Listen to the deal the government gave him. He gets U.S. residency, he gets his pilot's license reinstated, remains out of jail while Noriega's on trial, and may have to spend no more than 30 more days in prison.
Mr. Miranda's better off under this plea bargain than if he had been acquitted.
So are others who will testify against Noriega. The government reportedly paid them $1.5 million as part of the deal. Still, Noriega's attorneys are confident that the trial will convince a jury that their man was the CIA's man in Panama.
It will reveal information that comes as high as the White House.
That Noriega trained and resupplied the U.S.-backed Contras for Washington. That CIA pilots, the rumor goes, smuggled drugs to the U.S. in payment for the guns. Still, government officials say they're not worried.
I think it's not something that people here are losing a lot of sleep over.
Noriega's trial could last 6 months, and if he's convicted on all counts, he could receive more than 140 years in jail. Ed Rabel, NBC News, Miami.
On Wall Street today, the Dow Industrials closed down again. Trading today was moderate.
Think about your daily dreams and what you would do if you won $1 million out of the blue. Miracles can happen for you. Publishers Clearinghouse, the heart dreams come true.
Did you know that the most valuable patent ever issued went to a small business owner, Alexander Graham Bell? Since then, AT&T has stayed on the cutting edge of communications. For example, AT&T just invented a new 800 service for small businesses. It uses your existing line and costs only $6 a month. At AT&T, almost half our business comes from small business. When you succeed, we succeed. Call about our 800 offer.
All the things people go through to clean tough stains under the rim of their bathroom bowls. Because for some toilet bowl cleaners, that's a real stretch. Try a different angle. The unique angle neck of the Heavyweight Lysol Toilet Bowl Cleaner. It easily goes under the rim to help you wipe out even the toughest rust, mineral stains, and germs. Don't get bent out of shape. Get Lysol Toilet Bowl Cleaner, the Heavyweight with a powerful angle on cleaning.
Our Daily Difference tonight, Vital Signs, part of our week-long look at America's cities, continues. Lead poisoning. Despite some progress, the danger to inner-city kids remains very real indeed. And with the government about to expand the definition of what is lead poisoning, cities now face a potential flood of new cases. NBC's national correspondent Bob Kerr has more tonight.
To listen, you wouldn't know it, but the children of Baltimore are lucky. The city's aggressive program to fight and prevent lead poisoning means more testing and treatment for kids like James House, 2 years old and considered poisoned. The dangers are real.
It's the #1 environmental threat to children. You don't see clinical symptoms, but you find behavioral and learning changes in children that are exposed to lead, things that were overlooked before.
Here, doctors are trying to determine whether problems Artis Thomas Jr. has with math and reading are caused, in part, by the high level of lead in his blood. In recent years, lead was removed from paint, gasoline, and food cans. Average blood lead levels dropped significantly. Still, the threat remains, especially in older homes where children are exposed to chipping and peeling lead-based paint.
Kids are so sneaky with stuff, they can put them in their hands, and then the next thing you know, it's in their mouth.
Jacqueline Whitlock and her kids were lucky enough to temporarily get into a lead-free house run by a Baltimore hospital that treats poisoned children and helps them when they have no place else to go. Once considered a problem of the poor, lead poisoning also turns up in middle and upper-class neighborhoods. More so now that renovation is kicking up lead dust from paint made before 1978.
You have a lot of wooden components which were traditionally coated with highly concentrated lead-based paints.
Researcher Mark Farfel says household lead poisoning is caused when friction from windows and doors creates paint chips and dust that stick in hard-to-clean places. He's trying to find the least expensive way possible to solve the problem. That's of great importance to Baltimore because in some ways this city's exemplary effort to fight lead poisoning has backfired. More and more landlords refuse to comply with the law, boarding up homes rather than paying thousands of dollars to rid them of danger. One city official says Baltimore is a victim of its own success.
If their regulations are causing homeless, then that's a concern of mine.
Lead abatement can cost more than the houses involved are worth, and property owners warn of consequences for all cities.
They can assume that if they pass regulations that are too strict, that they're going to affect their supply of affordable housing.
As Baltimore inspectors continue to find alarming lead levels, tenants like Roxy Burris and her children worry not only about poisoning, but also where they'll live.
I'm going to try to see if I can get the landlord to do what he's supposed to do. If not, I may have to move.
If you had to move, where would you go?
I wouldn't even know.
Others refuse to move even after risks are documented, or they move to houses considered even more risky. For children who do get poisoned, the good news is that a new drug is being used to treat them, an alternative to a painful series of shots. For cities, bad news. No injection of money to help them fight the problem. Bob Kerr, NBC News, Baltimore.
In a moment, the latest from the Soviet Union and in this country, kids demonstrating for their teachers.
Accidents? I don't even think about them anymore.
Introducing new improved Attends undergarments. Now the best protection you can get, even when you move. That's because unlike others, new Attends has a snug, secure shape and fits high at the waist, not low. What's more, it also has a special absorbent pad built right in with 50% more super absorbent material. So it absorbs more than ever before to help protect you better against leaks. All in all, it's the best protection you can get.
Life doesn't stand still, and now I don't either. I've switched to Attends.
New improved Attends. Now the best protection is Attends protection. For a free sample, call 1-800-4-ATTENDS.
Because sometimes the day ends and the pain doesn't, we're introducing new Tylenol PM. It's more than relief. It's relief for those times when you can't sleep. Tylenol PM has extra-strength Tylenol pain reliever to help stop your nighttime aches and pains, plus a gentle ingredient to help you sleep, so you can wake up refreshed in the morning. From the name you trust comes new Tylenol PM, so you can rest easy.
As Nancy Walsh saves for her son's education, her savings and those of millions like her are invested in business. When business grows, our nation prospers and becomes more competitive in the world, which could open up a world of opportunities. And who will be there seeking out those opportunities for you and Nancy Walsh? Merrill Lynch. We're bullish on the future.
The Discover card pays a cashback bonus on every penny you charge.
Pennies from heaven.
It pays to Discover.
Here's a quick check now of some of today's other news. Secretary of State Baker said that he'll visit Moscow next week to personally discuss the changing shape of the Soviet Union. After that, for the Secretary, another trip to the Middle East. The Soviet Congress of People's Deputies moved toward adopting a plan put forward by Mikhail Gorbachev and the leaders of the 10 republics today. The plan would decentralize authority, effectively putting this Congress out of business. In this country, a Texas court sentenced Wanda Holloway today to 15 years in prison. Holloway was convicted of trying to hire a hitman to kill the mother of her daughter's rival for the high school cheerleading squad. Same time, students in Dallas continued their protest today over budget cutbacks that have cost many teachers their jobs. There just isn't enough education money to go around in Texas. As NBC's Jim Cummins reports now, it's a bitter lesson for the kids.
In scenes reminiscent of the anti-war demonstrations 20 years ago, students from most Dallas public high schools have taken to the streets to protest teacher layoffs.
No violence whatsoever. And we're going to come prepared to come and tell them what we want.
The seeds of this revolt were planted last spring when the Texas legislature, under pressure from the courts, passed a so-called Robin Hood law, taking state funds from wealthy school districts and giving it to poor ones. So this year, the school district in Fort Worth will get an additional $20 million in state funds.
I realize what this little infusion has done for us. I can just imagine what it's done for some of those schools who have had nothing.
While neighboring Dallas will have to give up about $47 million under the Robin Hood law. Dallas laid off hundreds of teachers. Students returned to crowded classrooms, and many of them finally walked out.
It's too hot in the classroom, man. We got people sitting on floors, people sitting on counters. What do they expect us to do?
How am I supposed to be desirable to colleges when I don't have the proper education? Who's going to come to get me?
At times, the demonstrations have turned ugly. There have been some injuries and arrests. That worries Darlene Kemp, whose two daughters, Erin and Amber, have both joined the protest movement.
No one will come out and talk to them, and the students really need some adult guidance.
The problem is, many adults are just as angry as the students.
I removed my son from Griner today because he had 4 substitute teachers replacing teachers that had been pink-slipped.
The protests continue while the school district insists it doesn't have the money to rehire laid-off teachers for now. Jim Cummins, NBC News, Dallas.
Country music lost one of its stars today. Dottie West died from injuries sustained in a car accident last week in Nashville. Born poor as Dorothy Marsh, she hit the country charts more than 60 times in her 30-year career, winning the first Grammy for Best Female Country Vocalist in 1964. Last week's accident happened on the way to her performance at the Grand Ole Opry. Dottie West was 58 years old.
Now let me get this straight. This cereal is just flakes, right? Now that sounds exciting. No, I'm not kidding. I can hardly wait to dig into all this simplicity. Now hang on, these are good. I was just caught off guard because they look so simple, but these are tasty, light. I like them. Really, I'm not kidding.
Kellogg's Corn Flakes.
Kellogg's Corn Flakes? You're kidding.
Taste them again for the first time.
Ooh, honey, don't come near me, please.
Oh, I can't. No, it's not a good idea.
Oh, no, baby, not right now.
Oh, sweetie.
You don't want to get too close.
Fight morning breath with Scope. Scope has 2 powerful ingredients to kill 90% of the bacteria that cause morning breath.
Kiss me.
What are you waiting for?
Great kiss.
You may kiss me now.
Scope, the best thing first thing in the morning.
Once again, Buick is raising the banner for quality in America. Introducing the 1992 LeSabre with a higher level of power, safety, security, and convenience. This new LeSabre is going to be one tough act to follow. LeSabre for 1992 from Buick.
If your doctor has recommended Metamucil and you like the results, but you don't like those glasses of thick liquid, change to FiberCon. Get the same fiber action in easy-to-swallow tablets. Get doctor-recommended FiberCon.
Shoot some slices, shoot some shreds, shoot some salad, salad shooter.
Presto Salad Shooter Slicer Shredder. Point and shoot right where you want. Clean up easy, dishwasher safe, store anywhere.
Salad shooter.
Original, cordless, and professional salad shooter.
Eventually, the bad guys lose, and with the collapse of the Soviet Empire, the bad guys from the KGB are on the run now. For years, we've been able to only guess at the extent of the evil of this secret police force. Now we know. NBC's Dennis Murphy on the KGB in Lithuania.
The KGB headquarters. Lithuanians joked bitterly that it was the tallest building in the Baltics. You can see Siberia from the roof. Lithuanians have taken it over. The belongings of the KGB officers dumped in piles. Felice Gajauskas is a member of parliament charged with rounding up all the Soviet documents left behind. Gajauskas was a Lithuanian resistance fighter who spent more than 20 years in Soviet prisons, including 1 year here in a basement cell.
I spent terrible days in these cells.
Terrible days, huh?
Terrible days.
Were you tortured?
Yes.
The KGB guards looked down on an exercise pen. Prisoners saw this scrap of sky only half an hour a day. Some people want to turn the KGB building into a museum of genocide. By their count, 600,000 Lithuanians were either tortured, investigated, deported, or killed by the Soviets in the last 50 years. Gajauskas showed me the 19 grim underground prison cells.
I was sitting 2 hours here in this cell. Box.
The box?
Box.
This is about 3 feet by 3 feet.
Punishment cell.
Gajauskas was interrogated by the KGB for a year, then sentenced to 10 years in a prison camp, followed by 5 years of exile in Siberia. This is what, a special punishment cell, you say?
Yes, special punishment cell.
These walls are padded burlap, a rubber floor.
Yes.
Cell 14, Gajauskas' home, 1977-1978. The irony of the former prisoner returning now to put the KGB out of business here for good. Dennis Murphy, NBC News, Vilnius, Lithuania.
That's Nightly News for Wednesday. I'm Tom Brokaw. I'll see you tomorrow night.
Friday, Oprah like you've never seen before. Her real-life problems.
Why am I eating this when I'm really not hungry?
Her love life.
Stedman cares for me.
The tell-all interview America's been waiting for. On the season premiere of Real Life with Jane Pauley. Then, Endangered Animals Killed for Profit. Tom Brokaw investigates on expose following Real Life, Friday.
Katie Couric's coming back.
It's about time you come back.
To NBC's Today Show.
Yo, Katie, get back on the show.
Monday.
On the next Good Evening, Candid Camera is back. See how they catch people being themselves. Tonight at 7:30 on Channel 8.